What's going on, Minties? This is Omar from Near Mint Condition, and today we're going to look at Conan, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, Volume 1 by Marvel Comics. We're just going to do a really quick overview, so please stay tuned. Now, this is one of those books that I am really excited to read because I've never read any of this material collected in here. This is the stuff that came out from the 1970s. So here, let me talk a little bit about it while I flip through it. I don't want to flip too much through it, even though I've read a couple of the Conan novels and I've read the original stuff by Dark Horse. By the way, this is a comparison of how huge this Colossal Conan really is. That's the original one by Dark Horse. It has nothing to do with this Conan other than the name, and they're both based on Robert E. Howard's creation. This is Kurt Busiek stuff. That book has been out of print, but Marvel is releasing those in epic format. So let's look at this. I went with the Barry Windsor Smith cover. Not a fan of that John Cassidy cover. This is the direct market cover. Here's all the covers in the back. Now, I happen to be a big fan of this spine. It has volume 1 here. Let's look at what the inside looks like without the dust jacket. Yeah, I kind of like this old school looking style book cover they gave it. The original Marvel Years, Conan the Barbarian. I like that they didn't put that on the cover here. As you can see, it's sewn binding and it lays out really nice. It's got a good build. The pages are really nice and thicker. So this collects Conan the Barbarian, issues 1 through 26. The Chamber of Darkness number 4, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And Strange Tales 1, or I'm sorry, Savage Tales 1 and Savage Tales 4. Those are the black and white issues. Everything in here is written by Roy Thomas, and there we go. There's a couple of other contributors. Most of the stuff in here is by Barry Windsor Smith, who at this time was just known as Barry Smith. Pretty interesting. So let's look in here. I flipped through it just a little bit. Like I said, I haven't read most of the stuff. This is the probably longest introduction I've ever seen in a book. This is an introduction by Roy Thomas. It is like 10 pages, I think. That's awesome. It reminds me of James Robinson's introductions and afterwords that he has in his Starman Omnis. So he did write it in 2018. This book has been a long time coming. As soon as they got the rights back, here's the Chamber of Darkness. I can't remember the character's name. It's not Conan, but I guess he is kind of like a prototype to Conan. Star, I think is his name, with 2 R's. Maybe they were testing the waters here, because it is Barry Windsor, and there's the Barry Smith art with Roy Thomas adapting Robert E. Howard stories. So let's look at a little bit through here. That's kind of the... No, actually, that is the picture that they decide to use for the little place up here in the Marvel Comics for years. So this series started in 1970, and it went on for 275 issues. And that's also not included the annuals and giant size. I think there were 12 annuals. I'm not sure about the giant size books. I haven't looked into it that much. It is interesting to note, too, that Barry Windsor Smith's art style, and I know I wasn't going to expect anything like the stuff he did for Weapon X or anything like that, but his art style is very reminiscent to Jack Kirby's stuff. A little bit. More detailed. Less dynamic, I think, but still really awesome. It's not recolored like the Dark Horse books. These have been reprinted in Dark Horse. Like I think that was my problem, is I wanted to read them, but there were so many Dark Horse trade paperbacks, not including the Savage Tale books, which were black and white. But Dark Horse decided to do some kind of digital recoloring that a lot of fans were upset with. With this collection, though, they just retouched the coloring and made it better. Like, a lot of fans are really happy with what the end product was. Let me see, I think even Red Sonja makes an appearance here. But if you heard what I said, 275 issues, we're talking at very least 10 omnis. At the very least 10 omnibuses. And that's just Conan the Barbarian. I think there were like 235 issues of the Savage Tales of Conan, or Savage Sword of Conan, and that omnibus comes out later on, I think in March or in February, which I will also be picking up. And they're also releasing the Epic collections, like I said, of the Dark Horse stuff that's been previously released. Volume 2 of this has already been solicited. Now this is a little more of like the Barry Windsor Smith artwork that I'm used to. I'm also excited because John Buscema takes over the book eventually, and I'm a huge fan of that man's art. Let's keep going through here a little bit more. Some artwork by Gil Kane. That is gorgeous. Here we go. Let's look a little more through this book. I don't want to flip too much through here because I don't want to spoil anything for myself or anyone watching, even though these stories are from the 1970s. So yeah, 270 feet. Here's the Strange Tale stuff. This is stuff that's a little more adultish. So you see, topless women, boobs, dragons, more killing, more savagery, I guess. Let's see what Corey, the editor that did this. He's probably one of my favorite collection editors because he does all the X-Men stuff. He's the one that does most of the books that I enjoy anyway. And one of my favorite things he does is he keeps the letter pages intact. And to me, that's really important because that brings back a lot of nostalgia. Not for me necessarily because I never read these, but for a lot of people. But it also kind of puts me in that time when these books were going out, what people were thinking, what people were expecting. So I think that's really cool. That's one of the pluses that I enjoy when he is doing a book. And I'm not even going to butcher his last name, so I'm just going to show you what his last name is. There we go. Corey Sedelmeyer. Sorry, Corey. Really friendly dude, though. So let's go back and finish looking at this. And I think the Savage Sword of Conan is also going to be in black and white. Here's original artwork. My God, that is detailed and gorgeous. Yeah, so the reprints, the Omnis that are coming out, will also be in black and white format, which I think a lot of fans are happy with. Kind of like the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Omnis that have come out. Now, there were two covers to this, and I'll show you one of the things that they do always is they reprint the cover, the variant cover, the standard edition cover in the last page here. And here's more interviews from the... Oh, these are reprints of the forwards from the Conan classic books that came out in the 90s, reprinting the original comics. So there's about 750 plus pages in this. It's the retail of $125. So it's got a... They know who they're going for. They're going for that small niche market of Conan fans, or fans that just, for some reason, started collecting Conan because of these sold-out Dark Horse Omnis. And let's see here. But I hope they sell well enough that they continue. There's that John Cassidy Notorious cover. That was the standard edition cover. So a reason I went with this one. But that's it. That's all I wanted to show here. And that is everything collected in the book. I hope I was either able to talk you into purchasing it or passing it up, or if anything, just waiting to see how much more Marvel decides to collect. Because I know the last thing I want to do is get stuck having 5 books of an unfinished series. Let me know in the comments down below if you decided to pick it up or if you already picked it up and which cover you ended up getting it, if you've ever read it, if you've never read it. I'd love to know all that stuff. And please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if this is your first time watching the show. Again, this was Omar. Thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.